Welcome to Monograph Matters. I'm talking today with Dale Hay and Kay Cook about their SRCD monograph on children's prosocial and aggressive behavior. This discussion focuses on the impact of their work in their local community. Dale, now that you've shown that early aggressiveness and lack of concern for others might lead to problems in children's development, where do you go from here?
We observed both from the standardized psychiatric assessment and from parents answering the questionnaire about whether they had sought help for their children's emotional and behavioral problems. What we found was about 1 in 5 children in the sample were either receiving the diagnosis of conduct problems and opposition defiant disorder, and or their parents were trying to get help for a variety of needs. So we're talking about 20% of the children. And at this point, we obviously have a different system here in Wales. At this point, the waiting list for help in the National Health Service in Wales was 2 to 3 years. So meanwhile, that meant that it was the educational sector that had to deal with children's emotional and behavioral difficulties, even if these children were waiting for an assessment of behavioral problems or attention problems or emotional issues. In the meantime, teachers were really struggling to give these children the help and support they needed in classroom situations. So we have managed, with some funding from a charity, to create a center at Cardiff, which is called the Neurodevelopmental Assessment Unit, which is embedded within an interdisciplinary developmental science center. And our data certainly gave me the impulse to really argue for the creation of this center. And it just so happened that the imaging center was leaving its first building and moving to a new big building. And I bid for that building for children. And unbelievably, we got the building. We got some funding to refit the building. And we now have this teacher school recommended pathway to an assessment that is not giving a diagnosis, is not giving clinical approaches, but at least is feeding back to the school that yes, this is the profile of issues, many of which include aggressive and anger management type issues, along with some other developmental problems. So really it was what our participants told us in their behavior and in the parents' reports of how they were hoping to get help that actually led to an application.
Great. It sounds like your work has already had impact there in paying attention to individual differences, but also not pathologizing them quite yet, and getting families services and help and assistance that they need. Thank you for watching this video on the Monograph issue, Prosocial and Aggressive Behavior, a Longitudinal Study by Hay, Payne, Para, Cook, Hashmi, Robinson, Karras, and Slade. If you liked this video, consider watching our Monograph Matters playlist. For additional resources related to this and other issues of the monographs of the Society for Research in Child Development, please visit monographmatters.srcd.org.